and that to live without fiber, you're going to get constipated, you're going to have all these problems. Why is that not true?
The fiber is such an interesting thing. So it's none of it's true. If you actually look at the medical literature, there's no evidence that fiber improves constipation. So fiber can give you bigger poops, but there's good meta-analysis. There's interventional studies that show that fiber doesn't relieve the other symptoms of constipation, which are pain, difficulty with passage, bleeding. Constipation sucks. Nobody wants that. But fiber will give you bigger poops that are usually more painful to pass. And fiber also causes a ton of gas and bloating for people. There's a really fascinating study from 2012. It's an interventional study with fiber. And they had 3 groups of people. I think it's 60 people. They divided into 3 groups of 20. And they all had idiopathic constipation. So the doctor doesn't know why you're backed up. One group, fiber is normal. One group, moderate fiber. One group, 0 fiber. Which group did the best? 0 fiber. How many people resolved idiopathic constipation? 100%.
What?
100%. Jamie,
100%?
It's in the
From 0 fiber?
Mm-hmm. Jamie, it's in the constipation folder.
What is the cause of constipation?
It's complicated. I don't think it's the fiber constipation. Oh, not the meta. It's the, let's see, stopping fiber constipation in the constipation folder. Yeah. So you see,
stopping or reducing dietary fiber intake reduces constipation and its associated symptoms. That's bananas.
So constipation is probably multifactorial. It probably has to do with dysbiosis, the overgrowth of the wrong type of organisms. I think it's potentially inflammatory in the gut, but in this interventional study, it completely reversed it in these people.
Well, when I was drinking kale shakes, for a while I was drinking kale shakes in the morning, and it had a similar effect to the carnivore diet in the first 2 weeks. Like, it just, it opened up the canyon and lubed up the old water slide, and things are just flying out of me.
Maybe not a good thing.
Well, I think it was also, I was doing it with MCT oil, and I was adding fruits and all sorts of other stuff to the kale shake. But I thought I was doing the right thing, and I was feeling pretty good while I was doing it. But absolutely not as good as I did when I went to the carnivore diet. I think I was getting this burst of carbohydrates and sugars and nutrients, and also I was feeling good. I was thinking, because the poop was coming out so easy and quickly, I was like, this has got to be good. It's cleaning out the old pipes.
Because that's what you want, right? You just want to clean them out. But I mean,
that's what I was thinking. My thought process was like, all that fibrous plant material was just
scraping them, scrubbing them like a little car wash.
That's how you look at it.
That's not how it works at all. There's so much interesting stuff about fiber, but I'll tell you, I was a vegan. I was a raw vegan for 7 months when I was a physician assistant. And I want to take this opportunity to apologize to the people I shared an office with, because I was such an olfactory nightmare.
Oh, you're
farted
up?
So it
no.
was so bad, Joe.
Well, you're breaking down and fermenting all these things inside your gut, right?
It was just people couldn't even be around me.
You couldn't hold it in?
There's only so many farts you can hold in before your intestines explode, man.
They're that bad.
They're that bad. I mean, I always hoped, that if you just hold your farts and they would come out as burps. And it never worked. It never worked. And then when I was a vegan, I lost 25 pounds of muscle mass and all kinds of other issues.
25 pounds from where you are now?
Yeah.
Wow, you must have been very, very thin.
Very skinny. So I'm 170 to 175 now, and I was around 140, so even maybe 30 pounds.
Wow.
30 pounds of muscle mass.
How did you feel?
Not great.
And you did it for health because you thought it was a good thing to do?
Yeah. So it was the beginning of my medical career. It was probably 15 years ago. I hadn't read the literature, and the ideas are interesting, right?
Right.
Like, the ideas are interesting. Meat causes problems. This is a pure diet. It's not cooked. It's what our ancestors have eaten, except these are the far too back ancestors. Yeah,
there's a lot of people that think that going, air quotes, plant-based is the move for heart health.
Yeah.
For to be a healthy person. And my friend C.T. Fletcher, he is a power lifter, and he had a terrible diet at one point in time. He wound up having heart disease, and it runs in his family, and he had to get a heart transplant.
Oh.
Yeah, and so now he has a heart transplant, and he has a new heart, and he's exercising again, and he's gone completely plant-based. And he thinks it's a good thing for his health and for his body. And, he used to be a guy who ate a lot of cheeseburgers and McDonald's shakes and stuff, and just wasn't really eating that healthy. And now just kind of completely changed his diet. And I don't have the knowledge to tell him that that's not the way to make your heart healthy. What would you say to CT?
I think that the first thing is I'm glad that he's making an intentional choice with his diet. Like you said earlier, what he's doing now is probably better than the standard American diet.
Yes.
If you are very careful about supplementation and you think about creatine and carnitine and choline and vitamin K2 and B12 and bioavailable proteins, I mean, you could sustain yourself on a vegan diet, in my opinion.
I'm sure he's doing that. He's a very disciplined man.
Yeah, so. I don't think it's optimal, but I would also encourage him not to ignore the evidence on polyunsaturated fatty acids, and to be sure that with his transplanted heart, that he's carefully watching it and looking at the right metrics and really looking at the right measures, which may give him some indication of atherosclerosis progression. So if somebody were to do a vegan diet with no vegetable oils, they might be able to do okay given they were getting enough calories, enough protein, enough of these nutrients, and we're supplementing with the right things. But I fear that a lot of vegans are going to think canola oil, that's great, that's vegan, or soybean oil, that's great, or they're going to eat these plant-based garbage burgers which are full of this vegetable oil.
We got to get to that.
Yeah.
That we have to get to. But
and it's just not, and it's not a precise enough approach, and I hope he's working with a cardiologist. So I would respect his choice 100%. If he's doing good, it's amazing, but there's a lot of nuance there, and there are a lot of nutrients, like I mentioned earlier in the podcast, that are not found in plant foods, that are only in animal foods. You give him some of these, probably won't take it.
Maybe he would. Maybe he would take the pills.
Yeah.
But if you could get him to just completely objectively and not disrespect his choice to become plant-based, what would you say would be the optimal thing for someone to do, having recovered from heart failure and a heart transplant? What would you recommend?
This is for CT or just anyone?
Anyone. Let's just have CT listen to this because I'm going to send it to him.
Right.
But anyone in that particular, anyone without any ideology, what would you say would be the optimal thing to eat?
Eat like your ancestors. Eat like the Hadza, not your doctor. So eat meat and organs as a center of your diet from well-raised animals, Rome Ranch, White Oak Pastures, Polyface Farms. Don't fear the organ meats. Don't fear red meat. I really think, there's tons of stuff in the book about why this information's bad. Know which plants are the most toxic, eliminate the most toxic plants, and eliminate vegetable oils and processed sugars like the plague. And, I think if you do that, you're going to thrive. And I think you're going to feel really good. Now, we're at a crossroads, Joe. Like the mainstream medical establishment doesn't agree with this. And I'm fully ready. And I think this is going to become my life's work. It's really exciting to be in this pace and say, hey, I think these ideas are wrong and they need to be refined. And I think that more people will benefit if we refine these ideas. I think people are suffering because of incorrect information foisted upon us for the last 70 years by the mainstream medical establishment.
Well, it's fascinating when people follow along with the mainstream ideas. And like